Hi, thanks for joining us today. I'm Christian Szilagyi, Calabria Country Manager for Australia and New Zealand. Today we'll be speaking with Natalie Gumley from Aussie about their cloud contact center transformation and the rapid time to value they achieved by going through it. But before we get into it, let's set the context for today's discussion. In case you didn't know, our friends at Aussie are in good company. Across Australia and New Zealand, we support over 20,000 agents having more than 300,000 interactions every day. And this number is growing fast. Today, you get a glimpse into why more and more organizations choose to work with us. But in order to enable this ongoing growth, I'm proud to say that we've moved in. That's right, we're investing in supporting our Aussie and Kiwi customers and partners onshore here in Australia and New Zealand. So I guess the cat's out of the bag. We're building out our local capabilities, not just an onshore cloud, which we've had for a while now, but we're onboarding Calabria resources in support, implementation, consulting, partner management, and account management roles. So why is this important? Well, let's think about Aussie again. They had a very specific set of outcomes they wanted to achieve. And to understand why they chose Calabria, it'll help if you understand us a little bit better. So I'm going to spend a few minutes filling in some gaps, including what we stand for, right? What makes us different. I'll give you a quick overview of our Calabria One platform. And then once the basics are fleshed out, we can begin drilling into the topic for today, which is time to value, how to maximize it, and why it's important. So what are we about? What do we stand for? When you think about Calabria, what does Calabria mean? Well, in our space, we consider ourselves to be the textbook challenger brand. We're the largest privately held WFO company in the world. So in practice, that means that we're that Goldilocks sweet spot. We're more responsive and nimble than some of our larger rivals, while being large enough to provide a no compromise approach to the services that we provide, but a little more on that later. Officially, our mantra is easy, smart, and personalized. But if you look at the images on the slide, personally, I like to think of us as the Google Maps or the sat nav of the CX and WM space. We make it easy to be data-driven. You enter your destination and we show you which way to turn and why to get there. We're reliable and we'll get you to your destination nice and fast and recalibrate along the way if the conditions change. Now, it might sound like an oversimplification, but this is the core of what it means to be data-driven to us and how we maximize time to value, get it done quick, smart. Now, it doesn't need to be more complex than that, because if you think about it, without data, you're just another person without opinion. Or in this example, you're that friend or family member that just refuses to ask for directions when they're going somewhere. But jokes aside, being data-driven is very, very important to us. DMG did a survey of our customers. And that's why it's really important, because this is not an analyst analyzing us, but our customers gave us top scores across 3 different categories, including satisfaction, product features, and effectiveness. Now, that's something that we're really, really proud of. So let's have a look at the services that they scored. We have one single cloud platform with multiple modules available inside of that platform. It's analytics, business intelligence, workforce management, quality, and interaction recording. We don't have the time to drill into all of that today, so we have to be a little bit focused. So Aussie bought the entire suite, but we're going to focus in on business intelligence, on how all the data points from those modules are available to each other and the snowballing effect of using them together and getting them into the hands of decision makers in your organization. Now, if you imagine a line, and crossing that line means achieving the outcomes promised by the project. Nowadays, 60% of contact centers have started the shift of moving systems to cloud, and the expectations have changed as to how long it takes to cross that line and what it means to cross that line. But perhaps more importantly, organizations are even more empowered to hold suppliers accountable. SaaS is a tap. It can be turned on quickly, but it can be turned off even quicker. So gone are the days of buying paper promises and achieving your ROIs late. That's the standard to which Calabria hold ourselves accountable, and why our philosophy is to both make the platform easy, smart, and personalized, but also to make working with us easy, smart, and personalized. So what will we discuss with Natalie? Well, in particular, we'll start talking about eliminating silos. I'm not going to be the first person to tell you that you can unlock tremendous insights by correlating data across your silos. But maybe though, if I do my job well today, you'll leave knowing that this process of eliminating silos doesn't need to be difficult, and you can achieve it without compromising how you like to do things. And we'll talk a little about what it means to be data-driven, how you get the data into the hands of decision makers at the right time. And then we'll finish with time to value and the track record, how it was delivered, how long did it take, Was it all about spinning up new systems, or was it about making it easy so people decided to opt into using them versus returning to their old habits? I'll let you hear from Natalie on that point. So let's get straight into it, shall we? Hi, Natalie. So please go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us a little about the CX and contact center at Aussie.
Hi, I'm Natalie Gumley. I'm the Senior Manager for the Contact Centre at Aussie here in Sydney. And we're a contact centre that supports and looks after our white label customers. So we support them through their mortgage loans with any changes or supporting them through online work, etc. And we also look after new business for the brokers, and we put leads through to our broker network as well. And we have a range of different tasks. Probably about 60–70% is phone based. And then the kind of 30–40% of the work is also admin task based. So we have to use a number of systems in order to service our customers in the way that they need.
And just for some context, how large is the CX and contact center practice?
So we're about a 55 seat at the moment. That number kind of changes by a few kind of each year, but we're pretty stabilized now, and with all the different kind of opportunities in technology, it allows us to utilize resource better now than we've probably had to previously.
Gotcha. So one of the things that I guess I wanted to see if we could share with the audience today was around the journey that you've taken, not just to cloud, but also to remove those siloed barriers within the cloud and integrate all those systems together. What made you choose this approach to move the workloads, first of all, to the cloud over time, and then to connect them all together? We're talking about the Calabria WFO, the Amazon Connect, and also the Salesforce system, all of which you use in the contact center.
Yeah, so we've been on the cloud for a while, but we weren't able to utilize the capabilities properly. And probably the biggest kind of blocker or bugbearer for me was not being able to get a full view of our capability, our capacity, our performance, etc. So we went to market and we did a lot of interviews with a lot of people, and our Amazon and Calabria kind of partnership transpired from there. We were very happy with our initial kind of interactions, and then as we started to build how AWS and how Calabria would work for Aussie, we started to get through a real clear picture as to what we could do in the future to really enhance performance and maximize our opportunities for kind of optimization, things like that in the future as well. So that was our choice kind of for choosing. The product itself, it made a lot of sense. And the fact that it talks to all of our systems was a huge thing for me. Having one point where I can visualize everything is a lot easier than having to spend time or resource sending me all different types of information and having to try and pull what I need from that.
What was it that you were looking for to be able to see together that made you choose us?
For me, every morning I like to have a snapshot of what's happened the day before, and also a look at what we think's coming our way. And we can forecast calls, but we are aware of tasks that come through inboxes and stuff like that. So to be able to have a dashboard that literally tells me all of that in one place, and within that dashboard, I've got my quality scores, I've got my survey responses, CSATs, as well as all of my call data. And I literally only need to look at one screen to tell me how my entire operation is functioning. It really, really saves time, but also helps me be able to set expectations with my exec with regards to our opportunities for availabilities to do other pieces of work.
Mm-hmm. And to move all of those into the cloud over time, taking advantage of all those integrations and managing the risk of not having those on premise and managing the technology yourself allowed you to, I guess this is the term that I'm using, to leapfrog right to current modern best practices and processes. So how would you compare the contact center today versus before you did this integration?
Yeah, it's like night and day, and it's I came from previously in the UK, a very large contact center, and technology was something that they were always looking to evolve, etc. And not being able to have just that finger access, it's not just frustrating, it just takes a lot of time. And for me, time is money. And if we're able to utilize that resource elsewhere, then everybody wins in that situation. So bringing all of that together, and as you said, leapfrogging into this new way of working, it's very new for us. We've only been doing this since November, and it feels like our norm. It doesn't feel like we've ever had it any other way, because you wake up every morning and everything that you need is just there for you. So yeah, it's been a real changer for us.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that we've learned is that having systems that allow you to get better results, that's not enough. We actually need to make it easier to use the new process so people participate and opt in. If it's more difficult to do things the old way, they'll just always choose to participate in the new processes, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely spot on.
So, how long? I mean, let's look at the actual project itself. We promise a lot of benefits. The very first one of those is that we manage the complexity in the cloud on your behalf as your vendor, and then so do the others. Did we deliver on that promise? How long was the project to deliver, and how long did you take to take ownership of it and actually realize those benefits once it was handed over?
Yeah, so I'd say from day one, we had a very honest working relationship with Calabria and with our Amazon partners as well. And working through that, it became a real easy process, in the sense of, we ensured that we had the right people. We ensured that we had, I'm not technical really, but there's a lot of people in my business that are, and they, for me, are the experts in that area. And a lot of my team worked with a lot of the experts from your team to ensure that what we needed and what we were looking for, you guys were able to do. And there was a lot of things, if we think about the deployment time. So this has been on the cards for a while, but it wasn't until probably August, September time before we went into full proper conversations about building and what it looks like, and full on meetings, etc. And from your business area, you would have been ready to go with this in October. We chose to hold off until November to actually put the implementation through. But it wasn't a long time to deploy it, because we had the right structure in place from day one with yourselves. And even key things like, there was a number of experts from your team who live in the UK who came on calls at certain times of the day, which wasn't the certain times of the day for them, just to make things easier for us. So there was a real, from a promise point of view, there was a real delivery from your behalf to ensure that you had people available to suit our needs, which was, we were impressed with, and also appreciative for, seeing as it wasn't ideal timing for them.
Well, thanks for those kind words. We do appreciate it. But how's the business? So not the technical IT owners, but the business owners and the operational users of these systems. How have they taken to the change?
Yeah, incredibly well. And if we think about the change in the deployment and what actually happened, to be able to say that we moved our entire telephony platform, and in Aussie we have a couple of other business units that also use a telephony platform, and they have different needs to the actual contact center itself. And we were able to move all of us literally in the space of 3 or 4 days. And we did it in a staggered approach, but we were able to move everybody over to that system, and there wasn't a single customer impacted. So we didn't drop any calls, we didn't have any concerns or issues with regards to the quality of the conversations, with regards to the data recording, and with regards to the data that we could have access to literally from the next day of reporting, etc., that I needed. It was all available. So from a deployment point, it worked across the board. For us, it was very easy, in the sense of, it wasn't there one night, woke up the next day and there it was. And for a number of our teams who haven't used this type of complex capability before, not complex to use, but the capability that it can do, I'd say it's really changed their worlds, because they've never had that visibility. They've never had that opportunity to be able to see what Calabria, advanced reporting, etc., can offer its customers. So I think it's been pretty life-changing for their business units, because they've never even considered that being an option previously.
Well, it's funny, because if I think back several years when we were, as an industry, working primarily on premise, we would wait for the long project times for delivery. Then there'd be a ramp up of usage and progress. And at that point, we would ascertain whether or not this was a good enough deployment to use as a reference. Now, think about the compacted time frame. Here we are talking about a deployment that was launched, kicked off in November, went live, and benefits were available straight away. And immediately after the New Year gap, we're back talking about, we can't imagine how it was beforehand. I mean, that's a really compressed time frame. And I think, if you remember earlier when we talked about how many projects don't get the ROI that's expected, that was sold before the project was paid for, this is a really good example of how you can turn tables in that whole situation. So I think that we've talked about the removing of the silos, but what does that actually mean? So how do you get the right information to the right people at the right time? It was one of the core reasons that you chose Calabria. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so for me, for example, I've got my own dashboard, one that comes delivered to my inbox every morning, that was created by our team, that tells me from a high level the kind of data that I need, and then from that dashboard I'm able to take it even higher again to my exec, who just needs big base numbers, doesn't need to understand any more than that. But when I go to team level, team leader level, and then also agent level, they're able to get into the nitty gritty of everything that happened in their day, everywhere that there were maybe breakdowns in conversations, or if there was time where we could improve in wrap time, etc. They can see that entire day-to-day performance. So for me, having these systems, being able to pull into one dashboard, allows everybody to create their own and have their own view. And for me, I don't think you can put a cost on that, because a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to pull that information. And like I say, I used to have my workforce planner used to spend a lot of time pulling from the 3 different systems that we had to try and get us something to the standard of what we now have today. And today, it takes a bit of time to build. Once you've got the correct build in place, literally a click of a button, and it's there ready for you. So yeah, for me and for anybody that I report to, the dashboards have been incredible, because it takes out the complex stuff and it just gives us the numbers that we need to see on a day-by-day basis.
I agree. Sometimes it's difficult enough to get the reporting you need from each individual silo. Then to ramp it up to the next level and say, look, here's a platform. It allows you to create BI dashboards in the way that you're familiar. If you use Tableau or Power BI to put together nice presentation views of the perspective you need into the data, we've got the adapters pre-built for Amazon, for Salesforce, for all of our own products, and a lot of our competition products as well. But I think that the really powerful thing that you only just hinted to was that we've handed over the maintenance and the creation of new dashboards to you. So if you think, well, what'd be really nice is if this person, this quality assessor, had this view across the different systems, you can go in and create your own dashboards from all the data points available in those systems, because they're just there for you, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably been one of the biggest successes for us, is we haven't just had an integration into a system with you guys, with Voice Foundry, with Amazon. We've actually had an ongoing support to teach us how to be the experts in that area. So for me to have a team now that can literally pull new dashboards if I need to, in a brand new system that they've only known for a couple of months, I think is a really, really huge achievement. And also not forgetting that it's always evolving. So what we had built 3 months ago might not be what we need in 3 months' time. Therefore, having that opportunity to chop and change those dashboards and be able to do that without having to constantly rely on your resource to support
Right.
it has been key.
And we're not talking about data scientists or, we're talking about regular analysts and managers that have access and can create these presentation views, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly it.
speaking of which, what are the roles in your business that use these dashboards? That you obviously mentioned that use them yourselves, and you mentioned previously that maybe some of the execs use them too.
Yeah, so from a contact center point of view, I have my contact center manager and his team leaders, etc., that use this system, obviously, minute by minute, day by day. We have live dashboards, we can see what's going on constantly. For me, I don't need that level of detail all the time. So for me to be able to see every morning how we were the day before and drop in and out as and when, I've got that visibility. And then from an exec level, they're able to just look at how are our queues? You know, we've got live data coming through constantly, and if we're busy, they're able to see why. COVID last year would be a prime example of in the future where something like that would be really important. We had huge spikes in call volumes, and they would be able to see for themselves the impact that that was having without having a conversation to do so.
And for me, I honestly think that this is something that you can mine. But rather than having a NOC-style real-time dashboard on queue handle times, you can, for example, start to cross-reference data from Salesforce. Show me data on the exit surveys from Amazon for when high value sales were made and things like that. So you can start to cross-reference them and have this information pour through and really show you meaningful, not just statistical information. Which I guess leads into the final point. Lessons learned. If you were to advise someone who was about to embark on a similar journey, what went well? What did you do right? And you definitely give the thumbs up to other people to try to do the same thing.
So I'd say be planned, know what you want, and have the right people to put that across. I'd say what we did well was our project team had somebody from each area that would have to play a role in this, even at some point in the future, because that small role that we expect it to be, when you start to get through the integration and what's needed, suddenly those roles become really vital at certain times. And we're a business, so they're all getting used by other areas of the business as well. So I'd say ensure that you've got that project plan and make sure that you know what you're looking for, make sure that you know what you want. We did a lot of that work prior to starting the business conversations with Calabria and with Amazon, so that we knew what we were asking for rather than kind of buy as you build type situation. So yeah, it was quite clear from day one, and I think that really helped us get to a place that we're at today as quickly as we did.
And obviously, we have strong alliances between Salesforce, Calabria, and Amazon. How did you choose these three vendors in particular? Was it a choice per delivery and then making sure they all work together, or did you choose them because of the alliances? How did you make, I guess, the decision to commit to these three alliances?
So Salesforce we already had. It was in our CRM system that we've had previously. From an Amazon and a Calabria point of view, it was our support team, Voice Foundry, that spoke with us around the Amazon product. And because of my real interest in getting this kind of 360 view of everything that an agent's doing, not just call-based, because they do a lot of other things. And we have a lot of customer interactions that aren't done by a telephone call, that is done through a Salesforce system. And I wanted to be able to see that and understand it and analyze it. And that's where Calabria came in, because your advanced reporting isn't about calls. That's just a small part of it. We have our surveys, we have our voice analytics, we have our quality assessments. We've got the ability to mark 100% calls. There's so much that the system can do that, for me, that just became well, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's get it all in, and let's make the change.
Let's look at the flip side of the coin then. What maybe would you do differently if you had it over?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think reflection's always a great thing. And what I would do different, I think, is my own expectations of this is an evolving product. So it's not a lift and lay. And we mentioned that earlier in the interview, that it's bespoke and it's designed to what we need. But as a result of that, there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of trialing, and there's things that do go wrong, and that is completely okay. And I think from my point of view, it would be just to relax in that point a bit more. But I think other than that, I think from a lessons learned point, we were set up for success. And I think that really helped. The relationship with Voice Foundry helped us get there. It's been a very easy relationship with you guys. But yeah, I think the expectation that it's an evolving product and it will continue to do so. So allow that time to learn, to understand, to test, to trial, to make changes. And you'll continue to evolve, which is what we are currently doing just now.
That's a really interesting point. We consider ourselves built for the cloud. So not only were the first WFO vendor 4 or 5 years ago to go exclusive and build a product just for the cloud in this space at scale, but we've really changed the whole methodology. We really like the approach of test and learn. It's quite disruptive. It puts a lot of skin in the game from us, we back ourselves basically. That I think that when you give us a go and realize how fast and easy it is to use our services and the benefits you get are real and tangible, that makes a difference. So I'm glad to hear you say that that's the approach that you wanted to take, because that obviously works very well with us and the other two vendors you've chosen.
It was a learned approach, I think, is the thing. So, when we talk about what to do differently, I would give the advice to anybody is to have that approach. It is a learning process that you go through, and it's not going to be delivered on day one where everything is singing and dancing and working. And it's going to be a case of it will be a test and learn, a test and learn. And there are things that we asked for that then we decided we didn't actually want that way again. So we changed the scope a couple of times because there was other opportunities or other benefits that we wanted to use instead. So I would say be fluid, go with it. And you'll get a product that will then match that. And like I say, it's built to continue to grow through technology.
It's an iterative process. Sorry to interrupt.
That's right. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's an iterative process, right? It's not one that you get to the finish line and go, right, we're done now.
Totally. That's it. It's always evolving, and you want it to evolve. Part of the reason why we chose Amazon is because Amazon as a business, it is the one business that no matter what happens in technology, it evolves with it. So having a support function with Calabria that can match that is huge. And it's quite exciting for what the future then holds with that.
Natalie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I appreciate it, and I hope that everyone watching did as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye. Natalie really makes the Aussie story very compelling, doesn't she? I wish we had more time to cover the entire Calabria One platform as used by Aussie, including the quality, WFM, and analytics modules, but that's a story for another day. Today's message should really be that being a data-centric business doesn't need to be difficult. In fact, it should be easy. And when done right, it'll lead to a rapid time to value and better outcomes, more smiles on faces. So, in conclusion, if you work with any of these logos or you plan to in the future, reach out to us and we can show you how to replicate the outcomes that Natalie discussed at Aussie. I'll leave you with my contact details there on screen. If you have any follow-up questions, reach out to me. All the best. Have a great day.